All right. Welcome to the Power Systems Book Club Call 9. So nearly two-thirds of the way through. Um, we were having a bit of a pre-talk and I want to keep the flow going. So let's open the call up on chapters 25 and 26. I know for me, particularly chapter 26, there's a whole load that can be pulled out of that. It was a very short chapter that's pointing at something far bigger than 3 pages worth. So let's begin the call with that, and then we will pick back up on the exercise we ended last week's call with. All right. I would love to hear from anyone who has anything they want to share from the chapters. Karen.
I just wanted to congratulate Steve Chandler on this sentence, the triumph of systems over personality. I underlined that a gazillion times because I still forget it. And it's just about the triumph of systems over personality. I think it's just exquisite. And also this one, he said, without an operational specific system in place, a commitment was usually nothing more than a momentary howl of longing. How beautiful is that? And yet here we are, spending a lot of our day howling away pointlessly. And I just love this. I know we've heard it all before, they've said it before, but I just loved the reminder that you do the thing and then the inspiration comes and then the energy comes, and it isn't about working it out in advance. And he alludes to that in 26, doesn't he, when he was saying, like, just play with it. You don't even need to know how this works. And I don't. I sort of have a sense of what he's talking about when he's saying about let the system inspire you and give you information. It's almost like, right, okay, I'm a wave in the ocean. I'm going to look across. Like, hey, there's other waves. Which way are we going? Oh, we're going this way then. All right. I really don't know what it looks like to follow that as an idea, the system of allowing the system to guide us. But I'm imagining that will become clearer the more we start doing it.
Hmm, cool. So I heard you say, I don't know what it's like to uh what was it? Allow or to surrender to that guidance? Is that what you said? Did I hear that right?
Well, I have, it's not that I'm not used to surrendering to guidance. I think it's the idea that the system itself is something that's going to give us information. I've always thought of it as God, the greater being who's giving stuff, and we can just receive it if we're open to it. I've never thought of a system because a system is an inanimate thing as having information, but there's no reason why it wouldn't have. But also there's the whole idea that things are greater than we see. We don't know what we don't know. God, or whatever your version of it, could be all through systems, must be all through systems as the creator. So yeah, I'm used to like stuff happening randomly, and I think that's marvelous and really quite reassuring that we're not on our own, that there's some help there. But as to how a system will give us information, I I'm curious, quite excited to find out. And the other thing, when you said about we have to resist the temptation to solve the mystery or any attempt to control it, it just reminds me about whenever we resist anything, that's where the pain is. And in the allowing, there is no pain. So it's a lovely invitation. I don't know it's like to a party where you don't know what the dress code is, isn't it? Will there be drinks or do you bring your own? I don't know. Turn up anyway.
Hmm. What did you? I'm genuinely curious. I found chapter 26. I think it makes sense, or as much as it can make sense, um, through the context of reading The Power of Now, and
Hmm.
they reference. I think there's a bit of a nod to that book there, and so I think how I've as best I can understood chapter 26. I think it's with that context, but I'm when they're talking about the system or systems in that chapter specifically, I've got my idea in my mind about what that means. I'm really curious, like what you took it to mean in that chapter.
Well, I haven't got a fixed idea about what it means because I'm open to seeing what I don't currently see. To me, it's part of the wholeness of the world. And being a Christian, I'm going to call that God who is behind everything. So God's going to give me inspiration. That's how I see it. And systems is a mechanism for that. But I'm open to seeing other things.
Mm. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to share here quickly before we move on to Tracy. I I read I read all of that through the lens of like an internal guidance, like sort of a like a built-in system. I read it as um, that slowed down place, that empty mind place, no mind, as they refer to it in The Power of Now. This moment of complete flow, of complete clarity, of complete calm, internal stillness, where the intellect, and they say it in the chapter, it's not that it's bypassed, it's that it no longer seems to be where decisions come from. It feels more like a tool, but there's something behind all of that that in that clarity just knows exactly what needs to be done. There doesn't need to be any to-do list followed. It doesn't feel like it comes from a logical or a rational place. It's something that just knows, like, right, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense. I do this, I do that. Got to get this done. Okay, how might I go about that? And then deploying the mind and the intellect as some kind of tool to um, help you on that thing. And I think so many people have so many words for this thing, or this state that we can be in. And again, they mention flow there. And I took that part where you mentioned it, Karen, like the any attempts to understand the mystery or to try to control it. I kind of took it to be like, well, that's like when I go, oh, it's really amazing when I'm super clear and super still and calm and I just know what needs to be done and I just do the thing. And it's as easy as going, yes, I'm going to do that. And I do the thing and it happens. And it just, it's like trying to bottle that thing up and go, well, how do I hack into this? How do I get into this state as much as possible? Because this is the good one and all other states are bad. And then, of course, being human, I'm not in that state all the time and I'm running around and my mind's going in a million different directions and I'm struggling to stay focused. And then I go, oh, this is bad. This is the bad one. Or I'm exhausted. I don't want to do anything. And I might get one thing done a day. I'm like, ah, ebb. Oh, okay, that's the bad one. Flow's the good one. How do I bottle that and hack into it? And um, that's what I took from that chapter. And like you, Karen, like, I'm really open on today's call to hearing what everyone took from what I think is probably purposefully written as quite an ambiguous, open to interpretation chapter. So yeah, thank you. Is there any more you want to add before we move on, Karen? Awesome. Thank you. Tracy.
Hi. I actually found this chapter really, really reassuring, and that probably sounds a bit opposite, sort of a little bit of what Karen was talking about. But to start with, it was the bit about all you need to do is start, and the rest will follow. And whenever I've got stuck, I've always just started somewhere. It might be at the end, it might be in the middle, it might be somewhere. But for me, I've then been able to build on that. And it was just really nice to see that written down, that all you need to do is start and the rest will follow. And that just makes so much sense because you don't even need to sort of plan it. It will just happen. Just find something to start using and then it will grow from there. And I just felt the security in that rather than the just waiting for something to happen. And the other bit that sort of ties in with Karen really is, for me, the systems are like a plan or a method. So actually there's nothing I can't do now. I just need to find the system, the plan for it. And again, to me, that represents huge security of being able to try to do everything and anything, because there will be some sort of system out there. If I just start, it will come to fruition. And I find that really, really reassuring when he wrote stuck places don't exist anymore because of systems. So I know next time I get stuck or I'm procrastinating over something, just start somewhere and it will unfold instead of worrying about where this is going and where it's going to come from. Just like you were talking about, go with the flow, because it'll just happen naturally without all the overthinking and all the other. Just trust the system, really, I suppose, is what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Mm. I don't know why the visual of a bowling alley has just come up, and the kind of the systems being the railings that go up that keep the ball, like there's freedom and there's flow and ebb and flow, and like the ball moves in it can bounce off
Yes.
each rail, but it still stays in the lanes, and that's the system. Whatever systems you're implementing are keeping it. There's still freedom and there's still movement, but there's something that's securing it in a path
Yeah.
that keeps it moving forward.
Yeah. Definitely. That's a very good analogy, actually. Well, I like that.
It just came to me. I can't, on the theme of chapter 26, I can't take credit for it. It just happened. Um, okay, so here's a question. What you took from these chapters, where can you see an opportunity to play with it, to apply it?
Very much within my business, because I'm one of those people that these idea shiny object syndrome happens a lot in my world, loads. And for me, when I get a shiny object idea, now I've got a system in place that I write it down in my notebook and I will come to it when I get to it. But I now don't have to worry that I won't remember any of that, because with a little prompt, I can start with that little prompt and it will grow from there. So, for instance, last week, I was thinking about getting my shop off the ground for little presents for people at Christmas, for people that are no longer with us. So little dining chairs, like empty chairs, empty tables, candles and things. So I've written all that down. And I know it's too late this year, but I know come August, September next year, that will prompt me to start thinking about how I want them to look, to do some research on it, what I can buy to make them. I mean, I've already have those ideas, but now I know it's in a book somewhere and I can grab it when I want it. My brain's not over there thinking about that as well.
Hmm.
So that's been really helpful to be able to do that and to trust that system, that I know it's there when I want to come back to it. Because before, my brain would have been thinking about that, it would have been thinking about something else, it would have been on the road about a client. And now I know I've got I can focus on one thing without knowing I'm going to forget anything else that I want to do, I want to achieve. So that's been quite a good example of how I can now trust the system and rely on it, and not get sort of distracted on something else, because I know I will be able to come back to it and not forget about it.
So it sounds like you've created a system for remembering and not forgetting things. And at the same time, two birds with one stone. Um, I can see how you could use that for there are some days I don't know if you experienced this. It's like you're looking around for a jumping off point. You're not sure how to get into your day or how to start it. It sounds like you've also got a notebook full of prompts or full of jumping off points that you could feel a bit stuck. Go and look at the books like, oh yeah, oh, right, that feels great. I can get into that.
Yes, definitely. And I think this whole book from day one has made me trust my diary more and not use my memory, because that was a revelation to me that your memory is the worst system on this earth, because I've always relied on mine and always thought it was the best place to put things. So that was a real revelation for me, to then start really using my digital diary for even for ideas I have, I can put in my calendar and then move them to where I want to put it. And it's just, I don't procrastinate anymore. I get things done. I mean, I had a list of things to do today in my diary with the time slot coming on, and I've achieved everything I wanted to do today. And that from 4 months ago, that was like, well, I didn't get anything done because I was too busy being distracted by this, that, and the other. So having these other systems in place has really changed the productivity in me, and just the organization and turning up on time to things, and moving things around in the diary. If I don't get something done, move it onto another day that I know I can get it done. And then I know I'm not going to be worrying that I haven't done something or something's not happening. But the book has had a real impact on definitely my procrastination, being late everywhere, and just, it's been incredible, really, how it's made me look at things completely differently, but with a relaxed mind. So I'm not thinking, oh, have I done this? Oh, have I done that? I know it's been taken care of. So for me, this whole book so far and these 2 chapters, they've just been a huge security thing for me. As a new business, I've really found my feet in knowing, right, today's Monday, I've got to do, or in my diary is this, this, and this. And if I don't get it done, I can move it to another day when I've got the space. I'm not under that work stress, which is beautiful, really beautiful, really nice.
It sounds and feels like a lot of bandwidth has opened up as a result.
Definitely.
Just the little things like, right, my organization, what task management, when things are happening, getting into a bit of a routine, and all of the thinking around that stuff. It sounds like all of that's kind of been taken out of the equation.
Yeah, very much. I think I owe Jane a huge favour.
Okay, so I'm gonna sit with this and draw this out because this is I think that this will serve everyone else in the group as well. Um,
Okay.
what what results are you seeing in your business?
Far more outreach, because I've got a block set time for doing outreach, and that suits me. That suits my nature, is time blocking. So if I on a 3 days a week I do time blocking, and I block out between 2 and 4 to do the outreach. So that is just sending out conversations, booking conversations with clients, and sending out my video saying, I've got a free call, come and have a conversation with me, not going to cost you anything. And the video's already there. I literally click send a little message, and then move on to the next one. So that system itself has helped me reach a lot more people than I would have done previously. So I'm seeing a huge difference in my outreach, in the response as well. Just generally, because I'm following 3 days a week, I'm doing it. So I'm following them up rather than it being left for a week, 12 days. It's sort of 3 or 4 days later saying, hey, have you seen my video? What do you think? Is it any good to you or anybody you know? And I generally get a response from people because they've only just looked at it, rather than it being a week, 2 weeks down the line, when they think, well, who is this person? So that's really, really helpful, productivity wise. I'm not late when I go anywhere now. That is incredible. That's a huge change, because I used to be ready before I went out the door, but then I would start doing other things. But now I know those other things are in my diary to come back to later or to do tomorrow. I'm going out the door on time, so I'm thinking, yeah, that's already in my diary to do. So that is really, really helpful as well, because I was known as the person who was always late everywhere before. So that's been a real revelation. That's been great. I think it's also had a knock-on effect with my family a little bit, because my brain isn't elsewhere worrying about, have I done this? Have I done that? Because I know there's an allotted system or a time for doing something, I can actually listen when my children talk to me, or when my grandchildren want to say something to me. My brain's fully there, not half listening, thinking, oh, I should have done so and so at the same time. And if I get a message, I put it in my diary there and then. That's one of the biggest things for me. I always used to have a call, write down all my notes from my calls, and at the end of the day, I would put everything into my diary. But I was finding I was missing people or not following people up. So after a call now, I allow myself 5 minutes to put in any notes, any sort of follow-ups, or anything they want me to do, or if I need to prep for anything. That goes in my diary there and then after the call. Otherwise, beforehand, I was missing loads of things, and people would say, well, you're supposed to have sent me this, and I hadn't sent it. And so for me, this has been really good in my personal life and my professional life. I think it's really, really helped me. And the other thing is, the overthinking has stopped. It's still there, but it's now in a system where I can deal with it in a non-emotional way. For instance, where are we now? Monday. Friday, I was so tired Monday because we'd been out to a concert Thursday night. Friday morning, I had 2 meetings, and I thought, I'm not going to be with this person if I go to this meeting. I'm not going to be present. So I apologized to both, said, can we reschedule? They both said yes, no problem. So I rescheduled both of those. But I was still in that, well, do I go out this afternoon? I've got some stuff I need to do. Do I just leave it till Saturday and do it on Saturday? And I started in that spiral of, oh, yeah, well, maybe. And I thought, no, it's in the diary, just do. And I stopped the thoughts there, and I just got dressed, went out the door, did what I needed to do. But actually, having done that, I felt better. I was still tired, but I did feel better because I hadn't wallowed all day in this. Oh, well, perhaps I should, perhaps I shouldn't. And that is such a breath of fresh air, not to have that thought spiral going round and round and round, which previously it would have done all day. I'd have been guilty with myself. And that morning was lovely because I got up, self-compassion, and was just able to trust the system and go, don't overthink it, just do. And it worked. It was incredible. So this all sounds so joyous and so wonderful, but unfortunately it has been for me.
This sounds epic. Honestly, like, well done. This is you. I've made notes, right? More outreach, better response from people. That I will never forget this. I think 4 years ago, one of my first calls with Nick, and talking about how you show up with clients, and he said, like, the way you are is how your clients will be. So, and it's the same everywhere. Like, we teach other people how to treat us. If we show up and we're and this is aside from, like, we are human and we're not machines, and we there are fluctuations in how we show up, but like, if the general consistency is like we're showing up prepared, calm, collected, we've done our homework and we're ready to do our job, like, people are going to treat us like we're professionals. They're going to create us in their minds like we're professionals. If we're not reliable, we start to not get as many phone calls. It's like, okay, I can't rely on this person in a pinch. You see it all the time with musicians. It's probably the biggest factor is reliability. So aside from playing, I know killer players that don't get as many phone calls because they're late or they cancel, consistently cancel gigs or back out or double book themselves, or they show up and they're hungover and they just clearly they just don't care. And it's like, well, your clients are going to be the way that you are. And it sounds like the way you're showing up is as a slick professional. Like you've got some systems in place that help the whole thing run really smoothly and it's a slick service and like, well, yeah, people pick up on that energy and then they're like, well, yeah, I'm going to work with this person because it's a great experience. It's a great service. And all of that aside, like at home, greater bandwidth. I'm hearing like greater bandwidth with your family, more presence, resulting in better listening. Um, this is an across the board success. Well done.
Def Definitely. Thank you. It's I I think the biggest thing for me was Jane noticed the difference in me the last time I spoke to her. She said, "What's happened?" And I said, "The book club."
Wow. But for context, can I say who Jane is in relation?
Oh yeah, sorry, Jane Reason. She's we coach. We started out together as coaches. We've been coaching each other on and off for must be 3-4 years now, and so we still meet every other Monday just to catch up and to do some coaching together to practice our skills, basically. And she gifted me this because she wasn't able to come anymore, and she can see the change in me. So it's been really lovely, actually. Thank you.
Hmm. No, I love that. Thank you. There's one more thing I want to draw out there. Is it systems based? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm going to share it anyway because you've just served me massively with seeing this. I've I've often shied away from like you used a particular voice there that really resonated with me. The kind of like, no, it's in the diary. Get up, go. It's kind of like there's a way I can experience that where I hear it as a stern parent, which is not too far away from a very heavily critical parent, which is basically the kind of voice
Yeah.
that goes on there. And so, like for me, there's a shying away from anything that gets a bit too close to that area. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to go there. But I also really resonate with the wallowing, particularly the way my week falls, the system of my week. Like go out and gig at the weekends, and I'm home at 3 or 4 a.m. and I've got to get my sleeping pattern sorted back in time for Monday, which can be a bit of a process with Sunday, and it can lead to yeah, there'll be sometimes I'm like, oh, it is in the diary. No, I'll put it off, and I'll see that as the kind voice. I'll maybe mistake it for the kind voice, being like, no, it's the understanding voice. I don't want to go anywhere near that other thing. But there's something in that I'm hearing where it's like actually integrating that voice and knowing where it's useful, and it's not critical. It's
Yes.
a firm, stern, like get up, go, like you you've got this, just get it done, and actually not being I'm kind of thinking out loud for me, and like maybe there'll be something in this that you guys will take as well. Like integrating that voice back
I I
really useful.
I understand what you're saying. Well, because I grew up in a household where both my parents were very strict and very, and that is still an issue for me now. Is if they're a bit stern, it sort of rings alarm bells a little bit. I changed that voice to what I call a proactive voice. So you want to get this done, let's just get it done. So
Mm,
this just get and do it. Just do it. It's a proactive, positive voice. Because I had the same thing as you. When I first was hearing that, I was thinking, oh my God, I can hear my mother. It's not what I want to be hearing. This is just going to make me run for the hills instead of doing it. But actually, I had sort of a conversation in my head, which was very much, this needs to be done. Let's flip it and reverse it. What happens if I don't do this? I'm not going to get this done. It means I've got to shove it over to Saturday, which should be my time with my husband. Do I really want to do that? No. Let's just go do it. So it's if we change that connotation a little bit from the parent to this proactive, let's just get it done, however tired we are, and then we can relax. I think sometimes that can help.
Mm. Mm. That's huge. I love that, and thank you for. I just wanted to draw that out and underline and explore it for myself, but also like put that out in the group. There's something big in terms of integrating. I'm hearing there that I mean, if we want to view that as a system in and of itself, it's like gaining access to as much of everything that you are as possible and using all of it. Um, that's mega. So yeah, thank you. I can see definitely where allowing that voice and reframing it is actually, yeah, that's really that's also loving sometimes. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any more you want to share, Tracy?
No, I think I've taken up enough of everybody's time. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Love it. Chris.
Good evening, everyone. You said a few minutes ago, Will, you were referring to your conversation with Nick and how in interactions we teach other people how to treat us. And in light of what Tracy was just saying, in this inner voice, if we agree that there is a thinker or there is a mind, and then there's the being that observes the thoughts, we are both of these things. It struck me that part of the trick here is to teach ourselves how we want to be treated by ourselves. And I've been the hard ass. I've had that voice before. And maybe there's still a time when I need a little more fire lit to get me to move. But I stopped speaking to myself that way, and instead thinking like, well, what's the point of that? This isn't. I don't need to turn into my own bully. And I just want to. I'm just anyway struck by the connection there between how we can also take that idea of teaching other people how to treat us and turn it back within on ourselves and show ourselves kindness and compassion and patience as we need, but also make agreements with ourselves, because I think that's the key part there, is that we make plans, we write things down in a diary, or we remember things we want to do. And when it comes time to motivate, that it is important to, in however that looks, whatever it looks like for any of us, to actually view that as an agreement and not a should. That's all I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I want to make sure I've written this down. Teach ourselves how treat ourselves. Is that what?
Well, of course, I think, yeah, there might be ways of bringing the language into finer focus, but I think we all understand, if we're teaching other people how to treat us, we have to teach that voice in our own head how we want to be spoken to.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. I've made a note. Thank you. And on your point there around making agreements as opposed to I should do this. I find one useful one there is I've chosen this. It's like reminding myself of a previous choice that I was going to do this thing, and somewhere in that transition I've forgotten that I initially chose this thing. And just the reminder of like, okay, you have chosen this, rather than slipping into the more victimy, like, oh, I've got to get this done. Why am I always blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. You again, kind of that voice, that gentle, but stern reminder. It's like, you chose this, see it through.
Because all the rest is just thinking. and the psychology, as we've been discussing here, right?
Yeah.
All the negotiating. It's like, well, we agreed. There's no negotiation here. We can just go out, just go run the errands, just do it. There's no thought is necessary here, but thank you.
Love that. Thank you. Is there
Yeah,
any more you
no,
want?
not for now. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'll check before we move on to the second part of the call. Is there any more that anyone wants to share from these chapters? Anything that came up or anything that's come up through the conversation that we've been having just now? And we can always circle back around as well. Awesome. All right. Well, at the end of last week's call, we had a look at a question and a couple of other questions that joined on to this. Um, I think we heard from a couple of people, but I wanted to circle back around to that and open it again with a bit more time on this week's call. And for this one, I would love to hear from everyone in the call, including myself. I will also be sharing. Um, do you all have your notes from last week handy so you can have a look at what you wrote down? Awesome. So I'll reiterate the questions. Um, and then I'd love to hear what came up for everyone. We didn't have enough time to really open it up on last week's call, so we'll do that today. Um, and the main question was, which areas of your life could improve as a result of exploring and creating and becoming aware of current systems? Followed by the prompt, what do you want to have happen in these areas? And an additional thought experiment, what do you want to have 6 months from now? And I would love to hear what came up for everyone and what they'd like to work on. We've got 5 more calls after this. So a period of time, an opportunity to really experiment with some systems that will create what you're wanting to have happen. Who would like to kick us off? Karen.
Well, I've got the boring stuff that I always say, and I'm fine about that because there are some things in my life that are ongoing. So they're going to stay because it's a question of honing the systems constantly, I think, and just getting better and better and integrating them more fully. But the things that I've noticed that I had missed when I was writing oh, this is what I want and this is what I'm working on, is the joy. There hasn't been enough joy in my life. And there's been lots of to-do lists and lots of I've got to do this. And there hasn't been any joy. And so I have noticed that what I want to create, so the areas of my life that can improve are the fact that I don't want to have a life of just chores And I include my business in that because it is a necessary thing. You know, it's not that I don't love doing it. I don't love thinking about it, that's for sure. But when I'm doing it, it's fine. But I do have to do it, or I have to do something else. So, like, I need money, so I'm going to have to do something, and I would rather do that than something else. So it's not a painful need, but it is a thing that has to be done. But I hadn't allowed, and I think I'd got into this habit of being on a hamster wheel, of being so busy with my parents and my husband and my son when all the disaster happened, that I forgot that this is my life, and I'm allowed to just sit and read a book for fun. I'm allowed to just go for a walk. I want to do exercise, and I don't have to do exercise that I don't enjoy. I can find different ones, and I want to see my friends more. And I've started. So yeah, what I want to create in 6 months is a more fun life where I can get all the things done that need to be done, and to have systems for the admin of life, so that that just runs itself easily, so that I'm free to just be and enjoy and connect with people and nature, or just sit on my fat one and do bugger all if I want to, because I'm allowed to. It's my life. And I have noticed since I wrote this down, I have 3 things have occurred in the week where I have taken the opportunity to slot friends into my life. And they were one of them, like tomorrow morning, there's a non-negotiable flat clearing time, and I have decided to slot a friend in the middle of that because I don't see her very often, and what a treat it will be. And before, I would have not seen her because I had things to do and I'd be committed to doing them. But now it's now non-negotiable to not have fun.
Mm.
So that's and I'm still getting the same amount of things done, and I'm just having more fun. And I've been to a few gigs recently, been cracking. On Saturday, I went for a drink with someone, then I went to the theatre, then I went to a party. Hello. It's all about tick all the boxes in one night. It was brilliant. So I can do things, I can do more things, and it can be more fun. So, but if I only just realised that I was lacking that. I'm going on a bit now, but yeah, I want more fun.
Mm. No, you're not at all. You're not at all. Yeah, we're taking our time to open this up here because I really want to hear what you've all got, and I want you all to share it into the group because I think there's something very powerful and special about doing that. And I love what you're pointing to here. There's something I'm really hearing. I heard you say it's my life a few times. There's an energy like I'm sensing behind that. Um, is there a feeling of a sense of like reclaiming, step
Yeah,
back into, take well, it's all I'm almost sensing there's like a taking back of your life behind.
yeah. It felt like I was the slave to everybody else because of situations where, I had to sort of be, if I was going to be a kind person. And we all have that, don't we? We all have those seasons where we have to put ourselves second and go and help and go and deal with something that's critical. And then to not, and to remember that when that season is over, that we can get back to it. We're not lost, and that it doesn't need to become our new normal of I'm second to everybody else in the world. Yeah. So there's definitely a reclaiming, a reminder that, like, I'm actually really bored of my life, really bored. And I always used to have the best time. And my kids always going, oh, when were you going to tell me about this? All the things you've done. And I think, I used to get so much cool stuff I used to have a brilliant life. I should write a book about all the little anecdotes. And then what have I done in the last 5 years? Like I'm still the same person. I just need to get back to that. And I can, but only if I realize that I haven't put myself in the frame.
Hmm. Hmm. If I may, there's something you said there. Like I'm still the same person, and I think that there's an aspect to that that's there's like a fundamental essence that is you that is never changed, and at the same time something has changed and you are different. Like what you're pointing to here, you've become someone. Um, sorry, I've lost my lost my train of thought there. Um, no, it's gone. Karen, I'm so sorry. I
Right?
can feel myself blushing. You a message to follow up on that. Hmm. Was
Thank you.
there sense there in the last 5 years then that you forgot to return to?
I yeah, like when you're living on adrenaline and emergency phone calls day and night, there really isn't much time for anything else. So, and I just got in onto that hamster wheel. And then when it ended, I just created more things to keep that system going because it was what I knew. And I don't have to do that now. I've still got problems like everyone has, but I hadn't realized that I'd got lost in a system of me last.
Hmm. Right. Okay, so I'm hearing, just to feed back to you then, I'm hearing systems around your business that involve automation as much as possible, that involve um, creating it and setting it up in such a way that it ticks over. It's a fairly self-contained thing that's just working. Fab. Um, I'm sensing this enormous energy and desire to reclaim and step back into. And there, what you just pointed to there, the system of me last versus the systems of what would you say? Me first? Is
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah. Well, not that I'm still not gonna. Here I am sitting in a car driving my daughter to dance. You know what I mean? But I can make it work for me as well. I don't have to like, oh no, I can't do the book club because Mondays. Like I can make it work. She'll have to wait, until I finish before she can go home. Too bad. So, yeah, like just to remember that I'm also important, and I'd just forgotten. I'd forgotten that I could even just read a book because it was always, no, what do I have to do? Like just reflex living. Tracy's nodding. She knows. She's been there.
Okay. Do you have a sense? Last question, then we'll move on. Do you have a sense of what systems can help you to remember and say I'm hearing that there's boundaries and these kinds of systems involved in all of this. Like, have you got a sense of what could help you create this?
Not as a system, um, yet. I just at the moment I'm just on awareness. So like people have reached out to me like, do you want to meet up? And I've said yes, rather than, oh, make an excuse, I can't really, meant to be doing this. And then finding a way round accommodating it. A bit like Tracy said about like, okay, so I'm not doing that thing, but I'll just have to fit it in somewhere else. That's okay. And now I'm scheduling in space for myself. I've got that place to move it to so it can be guilt-free. So yeah, I suppose that's the system, isn't it? Creating some space rather than overcommitting myself. Yeah. So I have, haven't I? Yeah.
Wicked. Is there any more you want to share for now?
No, I'm all right, thank you.
Awesome. All right. Excited to hear more about that soon. Tracy.
I just wanted to say to Karen, the reason I resonate so much with that is I have just come out of that sort of setup as well in the last 2 years. And I'm going into another one with my parents as well, because we've got elderly parents there. But for me, the biggest change for me was putting me in the diary first and everything else around me. So all the things I wanted to do first went in the diary first and everything else fitted around it. And that changed things for me completely, because I felt like I had a balanced life because I was doing things for me as well. But that's just a really easy thing to do, is to put you in the diary first and everything else around, which is really against our natural nature, particularly as women. That sounds awful, but particularly as women, we tend to put the children, partners, everybody else before us, because that's the conditioning we've had as being brought up. But when it was a revelation to me, when somebody said to me, put you in the diary first and everything else goes around that, play with it, but you are the non-negotiable in that diary. That's what you do.
Awesome. And did you want to share what came up for you with the with those questions?
A lot of mine, actually, as our previous conversation, have really, I mean, one of them was time management. So getting stuff done rather than procrastinating, which I talked about a little bit earlier, which is very much, the system has changed that for me. I don't have that spiral of thought now. I just get and do stuff. So I'm a lot more productive in that way. So that's really good. I think for me, now I've got that in place, the thing that for me, what do I want to happen from that, is to just, I don't want that system to stop, because I know me, I start these things and then I'll get so far along and it might lose a little bit of momentum. Then I might stop doing it as efficiently. Then I might not do it for a few days. And then I'm back to the system I was in before, which was running around like a headless chicken. So my biggest fear on that, what I want to happen is for that system to stay and stay permanently. So in 6 months' time, I am known for not being late anymore, for being efficient and doing what I say I'm going to do. So that's something for me that I would look at, and that's what sort of came up for me, is the long term now. Having implemented that, how do I go about keeping that as a system? Because when dramas happen in life, or family happens, or your laptop goes down, oh my goodness, this is very easy to ignore the systems then, just panic. And I think I would like to know that they were embedded enough that I wouldn't go down that road, maybe, which would be quite nice if I could manage it in a very calm and not let the overthinking happen in that panicky situation, and take a bit of control would be a blessing, definitely, for sure. And the other thing is about my business outreach as well. Again, that's, the productivity has got brilliantly better, but maybe looking as I go forward, looking at the time blocking I've got and the way my system runs, Karen really threw something up for me there about making sure I'm still having the fun in my life. Because when we have our own business, it just takes over, doesn't it? It takes over everything if you're not careful. And I think I do notice from time to time that I'm not where I want to be when I want to be there, maybe with the grandchildren. They're doing something and I just, sometimes there are things that I choose that have to be done. And it's making that balance. I think it's that balanced in life of work and play and enjoying life, because we can get stuck in this system, which is overloading, and we're not thinking sort of the bit outside of that, where it should all be balanced. Work, is it work, rest and play? I think it's work, rest and play, isn't it? So getting that balance into your life so that you've got the joy there as well, and people know who you are because you're not a recluse. So yeah, I think that's some of the things that came up for me, really. But the 6 month thing is about not having the feast and famine because I'm doing the output. And like you said, to kind of automating the business, so I'm not always behind the desk. I can go and have coffee with friends and family and take my grandchildren out for the afternoon and that sort of stuff. So really that's what sort of came up for me, was this implementing this long term, not a short term fix. I want these things in place so they're going to last the long term, rather than me getting sick of them in 6 months' time and giving up. I want that stamina and that resilience to keep plugging away at them and tweaking them to make sure that they become a natural. I think this is in the book, something about a natural everyday routine. The ordinary becomes, or the extraordinary becomes the ordinary. There's something in the book about the miracle of routines becoming just the ordinary, everyday, habitual habits that you do. But they're the systems have become embedded in you, so you don't have to no longer think about them. So yeah, I think it's that long term I would like really to happen in the 6 months, is that those systems are embedded with me, so I naturally do them without having to think, oh, have I done that? Have I done that? So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll throw something out there as well, like something that I see as potentially exciting. And part of, I think things slip back into, say, ways of being, old ways of doing things, when we're not kind of aware or switched on to it. But something that can keep us really switched on to what's going on is the results that systems create, right? And the more and more, so let's take your outreach, for example. It's like more outreach, okay, greater productivity in the business. Like, well, that isn't many steps removed from more clients, more income, more money coming in. Right. Well, all of a sudden, the systems have got to be tweaked. Suddenly, it's like, right, wow, I've increased business by 35%. It's like, well, some systems are going to need to be tweaked. Calendar, time slots, booking slot, etc. Right. Okay, right. Now I've got to change this thing. So as your current systems create certain results, like the systems are naturally going to have to change. And this keeps us in this playful space of like being observant to it. And it keeps the creation going. Like these systems are, they're verbs, not nouns. They're sort of living, breathing entities that are creating things as they go. Um, so yeah, I want to throw that out there as something to, 6 months from now, your business could look very, very different, and the systems will naturally need to evolve and change, which keeps you in a space of like, yeah, I've got to stay on top of them and be observant. And again, kind of like that chapter 26, life or the world around you being a guidance system, it's being tuned into that world, like your world. What's happening in my business? Okay, this is all happening, right? Okay, how am I going to respond to that? How am I going to create with what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have really noticed that when I get under stress or I'm tired, that's when all the thinking starts coming in, or I I try and find an excuse. I'm too self-compassionate and try not to do something, and I end up in that spiral. And I've noticed that those are the danger zones for me, is when I'm stressed or when I'm tired, that I don't always rely on those systems. But hence they're trying to get them as natural habits as possible, so that they're like my default setting, if you like. When I do get stressed and when I get tired, it just happens. So I'm hoping that will happen, which would be good.
So awesome. Um, one final question, and just to sort of throw it out there, I'm genuinely curious, like the place that you're in, the energy you're coming from. What would be some really cool results in your business in 6 months' time?
No feast or famine would be nice. No sort of having clients, not having any clients, because I was doing my taxes, ready to sort out all my taxes, and I was looking at last year, and I had some really good times of the year, and I had some awful times of the year, and I would like just a consistent, steady flow. And I realize now, I've noticed why that happened last time was because when I was with clients, I wasn't creating more clients. So I learned a lesson from that. So this time round, I need to continue the system while I've got clients. And in theory mind, I should then have a steady flow of people wanting to work with me, which is what I would hope would happen in 6 months' time from the output I'm putting out now.
Okay. Thank you for yeah, I'm going to make a note of that. One cool thing that can be quite fun with that one is what is it? Yeah, what one third input, two thirds output. So like divvying
Yeah.
up the week, it's like right, two thirds are outputting actual client, in the field doing the work, and then one third is exactly what you're saying, that other part of it. Yeah, exciting.
Bit scary as well, but exciting.
Well, they often feel the same way, don't they? Cool.
Yes, definitely.
Is there any more you want to share for now?
No, I've only really came up with those three because those three, when I first filled out my form, were really like a red flag sticking out in front of me. So I knew I wanted to do something about those three more than anything. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Chris. Oh, you're muted at the moment.
Thank you. Can I open with a couple of shout outs first? To Karen for such honesty and for your desire for more fun and more joy. And Tracy, you as well, for the same, and for reclaiming time for ourselves and building a schedule around ourselves and what we want as opposed to what everyone else wants. And this whole idea of joy, I don't know about you all, but to me, this in this moment is a really countercultural concept of us being able to have it and own it without guilt. We're not taught that we can do that, and I'm not talking about influencers on social media that peddle creature comforts and things like that, but the actual sense of joy and awe that we get by attending to our own needs first before then reaching out to others. So I love all that. And I also, Tracy, that undercurrent of enrollment, like not stopping that process because we were like, okay, I'm working now. It's good. I don't have to go look for more work. I'm going to think about that very carefully and what that looks like for me. And to answer your questions, Will, or to address, yeah, I'm playing a long game here. In terms of, and my desire is also for more consistency and stability in my work life, and not getting away from total ebb to waves crashing. Like I could at least to decrease the frequency of the ebbs anyway. And so whatever that looks like, and I realized that. There's a system that I've already been putting in place to address that. And it is to, in those times where I would have found myself in a space of emptiness and maybe anxiety about what should I be doing right now? Should I be emailing someone? Should I be phone calling? Should I be revamping a website? All this activity. I decided instead, it's fairly recently, I just need to be with people. I just need to be out there, like with a person, and start there. And if I can manage the day to day now and look at this as a longer term project over the course of a year, like what if I'm actually going out a couple of times a week and prioritizing going out with people that I don't know very well? And what if I drop any agenda or any idea of what's supposed to happen as a result of this going out, but just meet new people, hear their experiences, practice my listening, all that stuff. I wonder how my income will change on the other side of that. And certainly, as a musician, obviously, there will be musicians included of this group of people that I don't know very well. And yeah, there's some of that, but I almost feel like that's too small a market for me anymore, and it just, anybody, if I'm going to enroll, I'm going to consider it very wide open enrollment, because who knows what could come up, what conversation could lead to the other conversation that leads to, oh, I didn't think my life would be going in this direction, but here we are. This is fucking amazing. I've had experiences like that a couple of times. And so, but it is that system of, and I was inspired by, I think I brought up that the TED Talks, and having gone to an event in Nashville recently. But when we went to this tasting that was sponsored by TED, it was at a restaurant. We were seated at a table with Laura and I, with another couple we had not met before. They were a little older than us. And they said, "Oh, there's the what brings you here?" And the woman said, "Oh, well, we're new in town, so we just sign up for everything." I loved that. Just like, I mean, obviously we can discriminate, but the idea of like, so just sign up for stuff and show up and see who's there. We can decide whether the opportunity is right for us or not. But showing up is what I never did. I never did. I stayed home. I'd practice. I'd look for activities. I'd worry. I'd reach out to the same 4 people to have more coffee and sit and complain about how none of us was working as much as we like to. So those systems did not work anymore. I think that's my share. Yes, the James Clear book. If we haven't mentioned that in this book club before, he mentions the author James Clear. He's the one we fall to the level of our systems. He's the one who said that his book Habit is highly, highly recommended as a companion piece to any of these coaching books. It's written for the mainstream, very practical, very easily readable. And I read that book, I think not long after it came out, and it was a game-changing book for me. So there you go.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, Philip, you've mentioned Atomic Habits quite a lot as well. That's, yeah, I'll queue that up in Amazon. Um, that really resonates a lot with me, Chris, and feeds into a lot of what I've been kind of looking at the feedback from this year and going, yeah, I also message the same 3 or 4 people, and I love them. There's a reason they're long friends. They're people I met very, very soon after I moved to Brighton, and it's not a right. I need to replace friends, or I need new people to message. It's both and. It's like I love these friends, and also, yeah, there's like a comfort blanket. I'm like, oh yeah, I know it's going to be a familiar, safe, predictable social environment, and that's really cool. Like that can also serve us, and at the same time, um, there's a buzz you get being around new people, when you start to click. You're like, oh wow, okay, right, we're on a wavelength. We get each other. Like, okay, we like a lot of the same things, or like they like something I've never heard of, and now they're teaching me all about that, and that's really cool. Um, and you absolutely never know where any of that's going to go. It's something I'm playing with as well. So yeah, man, that really resonates. Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there any more?
One more PS. We may not all be in this position in this call, but I heard something on a finance podcast I listened to this morning that there is a term are you familiar with the sandwich generation, or a sandwich generation? Has anyone heard this term before? It will happen to every generation, but it is when you are caring for both children, if they're adult children, and also caring for parents. So everyone gets their turn as a sandwich generation. And so what I think the reason that Karen and Tracy both speaking to more joy, more time for ourselves. Again, I certainly am. I sounds like you all might be too, but never a more important time to be prioritizing that and building everything else around it. Otherwise, we have nothing to give to either. That's it.
Thanks, man. Izzy.
Hey, hello.
Hello.
So I'm surfing on joining a conference 2 weeks ago. Or now, is it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? I don't remember. But and so like it's all about like meeting people, and that's really something that feeds me. And every person we meet is a universe, their whole world, and so it opens up to like whatever, when we have the connection and we're aligned, then their world and our world just like meet, and there's so many possibilities, and I find that really fascinating. And for example, one person I've met during the Amsterdam Dance event works for a huge festival in electronic music. I'm in electronic music, just to put it. And we're aligned in the fact that we're both very advocates of health and well-being. And then we could immediately start a conversation of saying, let's see how we can push more wellness in the electronic music industry. And from there, it's just like logical that the follow-up is going to be like a call where we can directly dive into possibility and creating, because it clicked. And then of course there's going to be like validating if we have like the same values, if we share a joint vision. But it's just like so nourishing. And what I really enjoyed this year, which I did more than the past editions, is that I didn't did a packed schedule. I said, okay, I have this and that and that, and then I'll go with the flow and see who I'll meet. And I didn't meet many people, but the people I met, it was really like right on spot. Some persons are like, oh yes, I help people prevent burnout. And they're like, oh, I need to talk to you. Give me your phone number. It's just like, wow, it's just like flowing. And I'm much more now in my system now would be less is more. And to trust. We did that homework with Will before I went to the conference to like define what defines me, what are my beliefs, what do I believe in, what's important for me. And so that when I have conversations with people, it's just like comes up, and then we can see if we're aligned. And that's really, yes, like having a vision and knowing our values and how we function, it can really help go to the next step, I would say.
Okay, so cool. I'll quickly share what you pointed to there in case anyone else on the call wants to play with this. It can be very, very fun and quite revealing as an exercise. What we did was look at what are the things in your life or in your business, in your service, in your art, whatever it is that you are certain of. What are the things that absolutely look true to you? Say you run a guitar teaching business. It's like, what are the things you are absolutely certain of? that you are capable of, what your vision is for it, the way in which you help students, the results your students get, so that when you are talking to people, you've almost like done a bit of research into what you are certain of, and you're able to tap into speaking from that place. So it can be really fun and revealing as well. If there's anything that comes up, you're like, I'm not so certain of that. That can also be very useful feedback. Uh, Izzy, I love this. And again, I'm loving the consistent energy of like meeting and being with people. Um, so could you say a bit more? I heard you say like, okay, when you segued into talking about systems, less is more. My system is less is more. Could you say a bit more about that?
I think it's a matter of being like more focused, because I have had this tendency in my life to like, I'm interested by so many topics, and I love doing many things and having many projects at the same time, and yeah, knowing how to prioritize at a certain moment makes things flow easier, the in a more in a more easy way, instead of running after everything and then we stretch ourselves too thin.
Hmm. Awesome. And and what is that less? What is that thing that you're wanting to focus more on and prioritize?
So right now I'm doing like the follow-up of all the persons I've met during Amsterdam Dance Event, and then I know there are gonna be like work on future projects for 2026, and then there are persons where the work is to like serve them immediately, because they're more in need now. And so to be able to see that some projects, they're more like midterm,
Hmm.
and some projects they're like immediate. That's also something. Timing is very essential.
The timing in terms of,
Of like knowing you know the Eisenhower matrix,
yeah.
urgent uh, and important.
Hmm.
To know what is urgent and important, what is non-urgent but it's important, and to organize our activities with that,
Hmm. Hmm.
our schedules with those the different quadrants.
Awesome. So I'm hearing focusing more on your business and within that realm, um, refining the art of prioritizing, cutting out what
Mhm.
like creating all these distinctions, like cutting out what just absolutely doesn't need to be there. What needs to happen right now? What's more of a midterm? I heard you create that distinction, like midterm and short term. What's the short term stuff?
Mhm.
Like sounds like getting a just a clearer bird's eye view, because there's working in the business and there's working on the business. And we can get quite easily lost working in the business. I'm 100% guilty of that. And then it sounds like having some systems that help you, like when you're in work with your clients, when you're creating these collaborations, and there's working on the business. Like, right, what's the big picture? What's the next 6 months? What's the stuff that's going to happen in the next month versus like that might start to happen 6 months, 8 months, a year from now.
Yes, exactly. And like now in November is the moment to do the strategy for next year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So clarity in your 2026, goals for the business.
Mm.
Awesome. Okay. Is there any more?
And also, I liked in the chapter 26 when it says like we tend to think like that the system is separate from us, but it's all unified. And so I would see it from the Taoism perspective that there's a whole and also yeah that what's what is outside we create our reality and and it has a lot to do because I do energy work. It has a lot to do with our frequency and what we're able to vibrate and then create around the world. So, like I noticed that last year, I was still in a lack kind of frequency, and that would attract situations that would push me more into that direction. And then because I've faced a situation, I had to also put myself first and stop putting myself last. And that was like my huge lesson, life lesson. And since then, my reality has completely changed. And every day I feel like everything is amazing because I live situations that I wouldn't have imagined last year. So, for example, in Amsterdam, I interviewed my favorite DJ, who is Sasha.
Amazing. Awesome. Izzy, thank you. I've got an eye on the time. I think we're going to go over. I understand if anyone does need to go at the agreed time. I would love to hear from Philip, and I would love to hear from Lyndon. I'm happy to go next week.
I
But
am gonna have to go on the dot, unfortunately,
you
this
have
week. But
on.
I will make sure I am ready if we want to kind of get back to this next week.
We can share that at the top of next week's call. Awesome. Philip, are you able to share now? Does that time work for you?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Um, I raised my hand a little bit earlier because actually just the kind of listening to Karen and Tracy and the kind of the interplay, I just realized like I've just kind of become aware that I think sometimes my default system with my life is I put myself kind of into chaos. Like it's like a very automatic thing. It's not like the system of the desk or the system of the, where you organize your files. It's like the system of when I default to doing things like I kind of do it in a messy way. I'm kind of like making my life more difficult for myself. I don't know, it sounds like very abstract, but it's like um yeah, okay. That's something that I kind of became aware of and I realized that like, hey, I don't need to be defaulting into doing things in a chaotic way. I can just yeah, go into doing things in a more like the way that I organize my life is within my control. I was listening to Chris as well, and then that kind of just made me um yeah, I think just small little things in my life when I need to make decisions. Sometimes I seem to just take the more complicated route rather than the more simple route. Um yeah. Uh I'm not sure. Maybe it sounds kind of abstract, but well, I was listening and it just kind of really resonated with me. Um, yeah.
So you come to a decision and you take the harder path as opposed to the less direct path? Is that what you're?
Yeah, that's the way that I tend to do things, and I'm in the process of changing that and just seeing like what's the easy way to do this that's gonna just be less effort. I um I remember this thing was like sometimes I'm making more mess now that's future Phil was gonna have to look at and figure out. Whereas like I can just do something now that's gonna just be the most easy way that in the future when I come back to this thing, it's gonna be uh already in a kind of good state. I don't know, it seems kind of abstract, but it might be something like I don't know, putting things away or how I organize the pantry and the kitchen, or how I leave a conversation. For example, if I'm having a conversation with someone, and they say, "Can you send me the thing?" Just send it off straight away, rather than being like, "Oh yeah, I'll do that later."
Mm,
Like
mm.
um, in the moment that a decision has to be made, do the decision that's going to be the most kind of logical. I mean, it is a system in itself, but just kind of it's a way of being, I guess. Maybe it just sounds very abstract, but it really made sense to me when I was listening to you guys. Um,
No,
yeah.
it sounds well, the phrase creating the path of least resistance comes to mind. But also like practicing a habit of completion,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
of closing the loop. Especially it sounds to me like is it that thing where lots and lots of little things add up? Like lots of unanswered emails, lots of could you send me this? Not sending it. Lots of I'll put the dishes there and I'll do it later, but then 3 or 4 meals goes by and then everything's out of the cupboards and all stacked up on the side. Is it kind of like an accumulative process like that?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. One of the ones is like, for example, files on my computer, and I've been practicing putting things into systems um over the last months and years. But I think, still what's in my files from before that is just a bit chaotic. So I'm applying systems in different ways, and it just I don't know, it just keeps showing up.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Also, was it? Izzy said today was like I wrote this down. Oh yeah, you said this, Will. What are the things you're absolutely certain of? Like what the market needs, what you're capable of, and yeah, what is needed. Uh, and that really resonated for me as well. Um, Kind of like a first principles kind of way of thinking. So
So what can you work on over the next few weeks? And what would you like 6 months from now? What are the areas that could really benefit from having a look at this?
hmm, that's a good question. What's mainly coming to my mind is how I approach how I balance my teaching and my piano playing, and how I allocate time for practice. And then when I am practicing, how mindfully I'm working on my program and on composing, uh, and how dedicated that time is. And it's like, okay, this time is allocated specifically for doing this. Either right now I'm polishing previous repertoire, or keeping up previous repertoire, or learning new repertoire, or composing, and allocating that time methodically. because there's a difference between just goofing around and actually doing something mindfully. So, what did I write down? Generally, just being systematic. And then I think the other thing that I realized applies to just I think your 3D dimension, your bed, your cupboard, your your wardrobe, your pantry. Something I noticed, for example, recently is my light switch for my lamp is in an awkward position. And whenever I need to get it, it's kind of hanging underneath my desk. And it's the tiniest thing. It's just go in there and kind of find and then press it. It just takes 5 seconds. But every time I have to press that light switch, it makes me a little bit annoyed. And it takes me 5 seconds when it could be 1 second, the light is on. And that's like a very good example of little things like that. And they all add up because now every time I have to turn on or off that lamp, this lamp, I'm like, where is that? Like, there we go. And I kind of thought, okay, at some point I'm gonna go and just get that cable and put it a bit differently so that now I just press that light switch and it doesn't make me a little bit irritated. And that's like an analogy of I feel like I've got little, like for example, my hard drive on my laptop's full or almost full, which means I can't do stuff that, like for example, video editing, because video editing takes up a lot of memory. So I need to go in and sort that out, and just little things, little small improvements here and there. And I've already applied a lot into different areas, but little things like that, like the lamp switch. So there we go.
Man, I love that. Well, thank you everyone for going over a bit. We're gonna end the call there. I want everyone. We'll begin next week's call. There are a couple of people who couldn't make tonight's call. I want everyone to have the chance to speak their bit into the group. I think there's a lot of power in doing that. I've made note of what everyone's brought. Philip, I will drop you a message as well because I did a life sorting admin thing out about 15 months ago and it was a state before that. Little things, all the little things that all added up to a chaotic experience of each day, dashing around the flat looking for different things, etc., etc. So like they sound small, but it adds up to a completely different experience of the day to day. So yeah, I'll give you a call and we'll have a riff with that.
Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to share, and thank you for everyone for allowing me to go over.
Man, I'm hearing the streamlining of the general little life bits, and I'm hearing the important like stage you're at in your music career, like the transitioning from music teacher who likes the idea of live performance to doing both and doing both, to whatever level you want in each one and getting the balance and how that's going to work. So really exciting. There's a lot to play with and experiment with there.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice one. Lots of love, guys. I will see you all next Monday. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.